Rendani, let's started.
All right, good evening once again, and good to have you once more in this session that we're going to be continuing the journey that we started. But just a little bit of a quick catch up. On our first session, we spoke in quite a lot of detail about these pervasive skills. And I think we covered different dimensions of the competency framework, and we spoke about the three bubbles that it has, which is one, technical competence, two, the PVAs, and three, yes, so it was the enabling competencies as well as professional values and attitude. Can someone just remind us in terms of the acumens we've spoken about? We said we've got which acumens that in terms of IAC 2025, we're going to be focusing on. One, who can remind us? One, so it's the business acumen. And we said under business acumen, what is the primary competency areas? What were the components of business acumen?
Internal, external.
Internal and external environment, business environment. Then the second acumen that we spoke about was which one?
The 6 capital.
The 6 capital, it's a content under internal environment. So Felicity, you were saying?
Decision-making acumen.
Decision-making acumen, and we said the areas under decision-making acumen include one.
I think it was critical thinking.
One, there's critical thinking. Two,
integrative thinking.
Integrative thinking. Three,
professional skepticism.
Professional skepticism, yeah. 3, 4.
Problem solving.
Problem solving. And then?
Okay, the last one skipped my mind.
All right.
I think it has to do with decision-making, judgment or something.
Yes, judgment and decision-making. All right, great. So I'm glad to hear that those things are sinking in. So we are at a very, very good start. Then the last acumen is what? The last acumen is what?
The relational acumen.
Relational acumen. And we then said, in terms of our focus in this particular course, which one are we going to be focusing on? Which will then be the focus for? Yes, communication skills. So those are the acumens, the PVAs that will then be expected of you come Jan 2025. And most importantly, the current expectation is that each and every one of the 3 papers will then have about 20 marks of those PVAs, meaning that in that 120 marks, you are looking at a maximum of 20 marks, meaning that if you look across the 3 papers, we are thinking about 60 marks dedicated to these PVAs. And out of total of 360, knowing that this will then be the core, or this will then feature in this manner, it that gives you a little bit of what comfort, or I'm hoping, is that the case? I'm hoping that it does give you some comfort in terms of what to then expect. And therefore, dwelling and always reflecting on those arguments will become very crucial in our journey. So in the current regime, the CICAS protocol was that communication skill, which was the only acumen that was being assessed individually, was accounting for 5% of 400 marks, which meant that communication, you were looking at about 20 marks out of it, which is 5% of the 400. So now with these other PVAs, it's not that now we are saying that decision-making acumen will be 20, and then business acumen will be 20. But now it just means that if one thinks about it, it just then have 3 acumens we are focusing on instead of 1. And that's why now the 60 marks kind of makes sense. And now that we are understanding, 1, what they're all about, and 2, the components thereof, what I want you to get from tonight's session is how we then apply them. So yes, this might be a strategic question, but what I want you to just now understand is that they are so significant in terms of what? They are so significant in terms of how you now think about these scenarios, how you then approach them. Because one of the things that they are adamant about come 2025 is that we used to have them as by the way, because this is a question that is coming from about 2021 ITC paper. And what they're acknowledging is that it's not that we were not assessing these things, but it was just we were focused on the technical in it rather than focused on the development of this kind of set of skills. And why then it is very important? It is because these, as I said last time, are the things that define what is a CA. So when we say this is one of those exceptional CAs, then we tend to measure them by what? You tend to measure them by their PVAs. And that's why when you go up the ladder, even in the auditing space, you will see that the partner is someone that is not just technically competent, but they're able to handle conflict with clients, they're able to get their messaging across, they're able to build relationship, they're able to negotiate, and all those things that then what? That then defines what it means to, say, be a senior or a leader in such an environment. So these are the things that they just want to emphasize right now. And this is then the kind of thinking that I'll want us to take when it comes to what? When it comes to this question. But before we jump in, let me just hear from you. What are some of the takeaways from this particular question? What did you think about it? Did it make sense? Did you get to see the issues? And because I didn't give you the required, one of the things that I want you to start thinking about is, what do you think the required will be? But more importantly, how many marks do you think that the required will be? So let me just hear some takers from you. So let me, I want to move my screen, so I'm going to turn off my camera. Right, so anyone? Let me hear from you.
I would say around 20 marks.
Okay, interestingly, you are on the ball. So it was out of 20.
Okay.
Sure. And your impression of the question?
Okay, so there was okay, public owned, so JSC related queries. Then I saw a bit of Mac in it as well with regards to the ratios. Then they also had subsidiaries, so there might have been some group if there was more to the scenario. There's also a lot of like internal and external acumens we could have used. And yeah, and just of like making this decision um to actually what you so this to actually transact with to go. So they probably wanted alternative decision whether you would actually start dealing with them, and also how would you come up with with the money in order to start trading with them, and also if it's in line with with your business strategy as well. Like the one thing that I don't know if I was on the right track, but the one thing that I saw was the policy is to use new rental cars for just a maximum of 2 years. But with to go, they were going to do it for 5 years. So that was like a bit weird, you know, in terms of what they usually do to what they were going to start doing with to go. So yeah.
Okay. So what I'm hearing from you is then well, one of the arguments that was busy in your head will have been decision-making acumen. Just to say that, yeah, the decision before us, yeah, how does it stack up? Essential.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Or and also you mentioned math principles, um, the alignment with strategy. So maybe just a little bit more color there in terms of math principles that were coming to your mind.
Uh, whack. If we needed to see like are we gonna use equity or debt in order to fund this new thing. Also the one thing that jumped to my head was if they're listed, are they going into this deal because the share price, is it the short-term goal or is it in line with the long-term goals, or is it just because the share price has probably come down or something, so they're trying to, you know, like put it back up or so, you know. That's just one of the things I thought of as well.
Okay, sure. Okay, no, very interesting aspects that you're thinking about. Great, well done. All right, sure. Anyone else? Anyone else? Just your thoughts. Just your thoughts. Just your thoughts. Nothing? At least I see you spoke about decision making. Or what is going through, or what went through your mind when looking at it?
I think sorry if I might pronounce your name wrong. I think Malcolm has covered me because I thought also decision making in terms of capital structure questions. I think it was just a question that was running on my mind, yeah, while I was just reading through to say what could I expect in terms of capital structure calculation, having to make a decision, and yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, he did cover me a lot on a lot of aspect, but I think he went deeper than how I would have thought about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Sure. All right. Thank you. I see a hand. Is it Panashe? Yes, please.
Yes. So for me, the second paragraph where they're talking about the decrease in demand for used cars as well as a decrease in demand for the rental cars, that to me got me thinking about the business risk, and the risk that they might just go out of business.
Okay. So you were saying that sure, all these things that they're talking to you about this external environment, they are pervasive enough to say that the sustainability of the business is coming into question, and then it becomes a matter of what? It becomes a matter of whether this business is going to be sustainable in the long term. All right, fair point, fair consideration. All right, interesting. Anything else? Yeah. Factors to consider before we enter into this agreement going concern. All right. So very interesting ideas coming through. Karam, do you have another view you want to share before we jump in?
How they were actually going to structure this deal. Then accounting sprung up with regards to IFRS 15 revenue, but how they would actually account for the deal, in terms of the fixed fee, the annual fixed fee, plus the monthly fee for each kilometer traveled and all of that. And hand in hand with that, there could have been some tax involved in terms of VAT and all of that as well. So that also got me thinking about that. There wasn't much to go on, but I also thought about that as well. So just like with integrative thinking.
All right. Okay. So interesting aspects. So you are now saying that sure. So from a technical perspective, there was some integrative thinking, bringing things like, given the structure, we might need to think about the accounting implications. We might need to consider the tax implications as well. All right, great. All right. So that's a very interesting start, and we are really aligned, and we're gonna just build on that. But now, one of the things about pervasive skills, it's very important because sometimes I think, especially if you are in an environment like, say, audit, because when you're in an audit environment, almost everyone around you speaks the same language. That you have your manager who is also a CA, and you have your supervisor, someone who's worked in your journey. Probably they've worked on a similar client. You've got a partner who's experienced in the issues affecting the client and the environment. And you've got the people that you're talking to that are in finance. So sometimes our mind traditionally gets to be conditioned that everybody thinks in a particular way. They think about the issues and that we are thinking about, or that we should be thinking about, and potentially there will be a right or wrong answer to something that needs to be dealt with. But one of the things about those that have gone through the top program, they'll come to appreciate that in an organization, you don't necessarily have CAs in each and every division. And in some cases, you can report to brilliant people that are not chartered accountants. And therefore, sometimes the technical, the way you talk about it, the way you think about it could be a little bit of worlds apart with someone else. That someone else could just be thinking about based on experience, based on some technical that you don't currently have, but you could possibly find your way together because of some commonality in the thinking process. And that is where these pervasive skills come in, because they are not necessarily confined in what? In a particular technical competence area. They are not confined to any technical competence area, but as the term suggests, they are pervasive. We don't expect them to, or we don't expect this to exist not only to people that are chartered accountants, that we can find ourselves in a board meeting, which has engineers, which has doctors and other professionals, and we can be able to speak about the commerciality of proposed agreements like these, and we'll be able to understand each other. And this is something that I want you to now start to embrace, to say that, assuming that I'm not talking to my colleagues that understand what I've studied, assuming that I'm not talking to my friends that are also chartered accountants, but I'm talking to people that are smart enough and are able to engage with me on this particular level. And that's where now the mind shift needs to start existing, to say that, therefore, when I think, I should not necessarily be thinking in the confines of what? I should not necessarily be thinking in the confines of my technical knowledge. Yes, the technical can help me sometime. It can help me when I am looking for, as you guys are presenting, when I'm looking for the proposed structure of this transaction, and I need to consider whether it will meet the definition of a lease agreement or not, or whether it will just be a revenue agreement. That's technical. It could be technical when we start talking about the tax implications of this, where now you then say that because you're selling and you're going to get the vehicles back, this is essentially a lease, there will be this VAT implication. That's technical. But what I want you to be able to now move to, especially when you start seeing the decision-making acumen, it is to then dig deep to say that, wait, when you now have given me this set of marks for critical thinking, for problem solving, for integrative thinking, what is it that you want from me? What is it that is specifically expected of me to end that mark? Because clearly, this is not a technical point. As we said, there will be marks for the technical, and we are saying that it is that 20 marks. But now that I've dealt with the technical, the way I evaluate decision, the way I think about the fact that I need to consider the work capital structure and all these things that you're talking about, that's good and well. But in addition, there is this expectation of me to demonstrate critical thinking. And I need to understand, what does it mean in this particular context? I need to demonstrate business acumen. But what does it mean in this particular context? So I want you to start getting into this mode, to say that when you now get these questions, and in these questions, where is my document? So when I then scroll down and I find that they're saying critical thinking, 1 mark, what is it that they're really expecting for me to do in order to get that mark? Number 2, integrative thinking. What is it that I need to do to get that mark? Problem solving, business acumen, and communication skills. So these are the things that I want you to start being intentional about, that those marks should not just be sitting there. They should just now be prompting you to do something. Did you hear where I'm coming from? Because that's what I want us to do today. To say that when we see these marks, and we are then understanding that there are PVAs that are going to be assessed, and they are going to account for up to 20 marks in each and every paper. Am I prepared enough to secure them? And this is what I want you to do in each and every lecture going forward. To say that, yes, Manda, yes, Unati, I see that your question said integrative thinking. I see that it said critical thinking. Before we move, can I just make sure that I understand what will be the expectation of me in this particular question? Because the idea is these things will be integrated into the technical. And you have to now be asking yourself, how am I going to secure those marks? What is it that I need to do? It says communication. What could possibly be required of me in this particular question? So that will then be the biggest mind shift. And once you, and if you are intentional with it, by the time we get to the end of November, you will not be fine not to apply these things. It will just feel weird not to be applying them. And that's the kind of comfort that I want you to find yourself in. When now you expect them and you are clear of what is expected of you. So what are we going to do today? We are also, when we then work through the question, I'll show you my structure in terms of what problem solving is. Because yes, the solution you're going to get, but most so, I'm going to show you the process that I will have wanted you to take. And that process starts from the scenario. To say that when you read the scenario, your mind has to be on critical thinking. It has to be having that questioning mind. And the question will always be around what is the problem? What is the problem? Problem framing, it's one of the most crucial, most difficult thing to do. The people that get it right are able to charge millions and millions of of money to corporates just to frame the problem. Even they themselves, even if they don't have the solution, just the ability of saying that this is what we are solving, guys. So you need to be able to get there. And once you then see the problem, you then are able to put yourself in a way that what you understand the effectiveness, or you're able to evaluate the effectiveness of the proposal that are on the table. But even more, you are able to then evaluate where does the problem come from, and also be able to see that there could be different ways to solve this problem than the solutions that have been put on the table. So that's what decision-making acumen is all about. Decision-making acumen, it's all about that, framing the problem, but by asking those probing questions we spoke about. And then breaking it down to say, this is the problem, the root causes of the problem, and these right here are the solution being put. They don't seem to address the problem though. There seems to still be a gap. What else can we do in order to put a drip on this particular problem? So that's how I want you to start thinking about critical thinking. All right, let's now read this scenario together. So Lancaster was established as a private company in 1984 by this Mr. Tyrone Lancaster, who was the sole owner of the business. All right, so we are getting the history. 1984 is a very long time to probably have any bearing now. The only thing, though, that will be able to take is that they've managed to do things so well over the years that they are here today. So for me, this will obviously talk to what? To the experience and expertise. But sometimes that experience and expertise sits in management and sometimes sits in a company. So I'll also need to be mindful of the people. In this case, there was the owner, who then I'm expecting to be what? To be also part of the management team until told otherwise. As the company grew, it became a public company, and then in 2013, about 10 years ago, it listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. So we are now understanding that the company is listed on this Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And we know with it comes what? Comes the pressure of being listed. And you've captured it quite well by talking about what? By talking about the fact that the share price performance, it's one of a significant indicator of what? Of the performance of a company. And we know that in auditing, that gives rise to what? Risk of material misstatement at the overall financial statements level because of the incentive to make the share price look good. So now we note this, but we are just saying that, all right, we are reading. Let's explore this a little bit more. What it does is that it provides customers with a range of integrated motor solutions, including car fleet rental, fleet management, used car sales, through the successful operation of complementary divisions and subsidiaries. The financial year end is 30 June. So now let's explore this, because now one of the things that you're going to unpack even more on Sunday as you do strategy is to unpack the value creation process. The value creation process, we spoke about it briefly, and how it has capitals on the one side and capitals on the other side. Where now we then said the objective of any business is to undertake decisions to transform those capitals. So now that is fundamental. And for some of you that have already gotten the face note, you'll see that it unpacks even more how SciCam is now looking at the syllabus. They are saying that they've now redesigned the entire syllabus as we know it around the value creation process. And the value creation process, in summary, it simply says on one end, you've got inputs, and in the middle, you've got processes that are part of your business activities. And you are looking to generate what? You are looking to generate value or sustainable value over time. And those are through your inputs and the related outcome. So in a nutshell, when you are now reading and understanding any company, think about it that way. That company, what are your inputs? What are the business activities that you undertake to convert those inputs into outputs for the purposes of value creation? And the inputs are the 6 capitals that we have. Because when I say that we've got a problem, the problem most of the time lies in the capitals. That's how business works. We are trying to solve the capitals. The problem can be framed in so many ways. It could be that my machinery is old and I need to replace it. So there's a decision to invest in a new machinery, capital investment come into the mix. It could be that I'm struggling financially and I need more cash. And the problem needs to be solved through effective working capital management, through through business strategy in order to bring more cash. It could be that I'm losing critical skills. What do I need to do? Strategy again, cost management, because I need to find ways to incentivize these people. I need to make sure I've got processes and the controls that make sure that they deliver the value that I want, so that this exchange of value creation makes sense. But that's how you then think about problem solving. What is the problem with my capitals? And therefore, how do I go about solving those? So what they've now given us is the business model, the business activities that this company undertakes in order to generate value. All right, cool. Let's now just pause here. So now if we are to think about those 6 capitals, so let me write them down. So the 6 capitals, I've got financial, I've got manufactured, I've got intellectual, I've got human, I've got social, and I've got natural. When you think about the business model here that is just being described, that of integrated motor solutions, that includes car fleet rental, fleet management, and used car sales, which of the capital do you think are important for this organization? Which capitals do you think are important for Lancaster? Or likely to be dominant for Lancaster, just based on what they've told us. Because now you are going to then start driving or having that mentality to solve problems. Because whatever is going to be significant, it means that it is likely going to bother the board. It is going to bother management. And it is likely that examiners will create a problem there. Like, examiners will not create a problem on a capital that doesn't matter to a company. They don't have time, they don't have space, they don't have enough marks. So think about it that way. So here, what do you think are the important capital for Lancaster? Just take a shot. Financial, talk to me about that. Talk to me about that. Talk to me. Open your mic, guys. I want to hear you. I want it to be a back and forth, so that we thresh it out. I really want you to be these super candidates after we are done. So let's talk. I see there's some themes coming through here, but let's talk. Let me hear someone. Joy, please.
Hi, Randani.
Hi.
I think, I think, um, I think it would be financial and manufactured, mainly because manufactured, obviously, they have all these cars that they use.
Great.
So that's basically the business. And
Yeah.
I think financial will also be quite important because in the scenario, it says here that they do not have sufficient cash reserves to fund potential growth opportunities. And you'd obviously want them to be able to have access to funding so that they can possibly have other opportunities that they can undertake, since they're struggling to, what is it called? They're struggling, there's been a decrease in their revenue. So I think for me, those are the two capitals that stand out.
All right, sure. So interestingly, the first one, the manufactured one, you picked it up from what they do, their business model. But the second one, you picked it up from the problem that they presented. But I want it to be the other way around. I want you to look at a company's business model and start thinking about the capitals that are important, and therefore the ones that are likely to be threatened in pursuit of value creation. So let's say that statement you have not seen or is not there. Will you still say financial is an important part for this organization? Yes or no?
Sorry, Rendani, may you please repeat that?
So what I'm saying is the way you are thinking, you raised manufactured. You said to me that given what they do, all these cars are likely to be a significant component of their business. And that's what I want you to how I want you to think about it, because that's brilliant. You're coming from their business model. So that means next time when you get a different industry and they start presenting and say, this is the industry, you are able to then say, these are the capital I'm keeping at the back of my mind. So if there's a problem, it will surround this. But then when you came to financial, you then started with the problem, and then you saw it as a significant capital to them. But if now that problem was not presented, or it is not presented as yet, when you look at their business model, could you have picked up that financial capital is a significant capital to this particular business?
I think I would say so, just based on the contracts that they have with, I can't remember who the company is that they have a contract with regards to, like, the 10-year contract. Obviously, they have to fulfill that. And I would imagine that there's a clause that if maybe they pull out quite early out of the contract, then there's obviously penalties as well. And yeah, I think I would still feel that financial is a capital that's still quite as important.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you for that, Joy. All right, anyone else? I see some comments coming through. Anyone wants to just share their views? Sure. Karam?
Hi, Rindani. Yeah, I would say just by that paragraph, by saying like what it provides to its customers in terms of all the vehicles in the fleet management, financial has to go hand in hand because they are providing all of these vehicles to the customers. So there has to be some sort of way they are getting these vehicles, and I think it goes hand in hand with the asset and the financial side to procuring those vehicles.
Yes. Agreed. So we getting there. So let me just see natural. I see Trix said natural in a manner that we are concerned about the effect on the environment and taxes. Okay, let's put it that. So maybe talk to me about that. The environment and taxes, just to make sure I'm with you, Trix. What are you talking about there?
Hi, Randani.
Hi.
So I was thinking, if they are offering integrated motor car solutions, there might be like, what do you call it? Is it carbon tax or something like that?
Sure.
Where, because they are polluting the environment, and obviously these rentals, I don't think that their tax because of polluting the environment will go to the people that are renting them, but rather the company itself. Yeah, so I'm thinking in that perspective. I'm not sure if I'm on the right direction.
So you are? You are.
Okay.
All right, great. Thank you. Then I see Francis, I think intellectual capital, so that we can keep up with technological innovation, which can contribute to our competitiveness. All right, so maybe just to then quickly talk about intellectual. Intellectual generally talks about the technical know-how that the company owns. But in this case, unless told otherwise, because I'm thinking that they just buy these vehicles. So these vehicles will have been manufactured by, say, a different manufacturer, the likes of Mercedes, the likes of VW, Audi, and all these other brands. That they are the ones that are likely to be concerned about the technology, the intellectual, unless maybe you are thinking about something that I'm not aligned to now. Please clarify, because for intellectual, it talks about that technical know-how that is owned by the company, and they use it. You are right, for competitive advantage. So maybe in your mind, what are you talking about here? Still there? All right. Sure. Anything else? Anything else? What do you think will be another capital that will be important? Maybe think about you. So now, if I say you are going on an audit, and they say you have to choose your car rental company, or you have to go, or you are looking for a vehicle, you're a trainee, you are looking for a vehicle, what comes to mind when you make that purchase decision that could therefore represent a capital to them? What do you think? What do you think? Hiring a good-looking, fast car. All right, sure. Hiring a good-looking fast car. Interesting how you look at this. But yeah, yes. But anything else? When you talk about car rental companies, what names come to mind? Maybe let me put it that way. What names come to mind? Chicks, sure.
Oh, I was thinking of Avis.
Avis, okay, sure. And would you say that if I say that you are going to hire car from ABC Rental, will that bother you? Will that
No,
bother you?
I think we're thinking of the brand reputation.
Yeah. Do you think it will be an important part to it, to this particular company?
Maybe they could be like thinking of their own reputation. If they are providing customers with the relevant service and a good service that they have, like continuous referrals and a good image, I guess.
So to you, what would be a bad image for a car rental company?
Say the cars are old.
The cars are old. You see now, yes. Do you see? The cars are old. Okay, what else?
It's quite pricey.
Okay, the pricing levels. Okay, what else?
And the cars are not reliable because they can get stuck anywhere.
Yeah, okay. But you see that is one of the capitals that they need to protect. Yes, that capital, and I think you're gonna realize that this capital talk to each other. in terms of talking to each other, as in one, to access good quality manufactured capital, you need financial capital. But if you don't have good manufactured capital, or if you have, it affects your social capital. So here we are then having things like reliability, customer service, etc. This is something that is quite important. And the likes of what? The likes of the Avies, they've really built a very strong brand by being what? By being reliable, providing quality vehicles, and having policies like this of, if a car is a particular age, they take it out, regardless of whether their view is that it's still good or not, because they want to maintain this. Another manufactured vehicle, manufactured capital that could be crucial will be location. If you think about it, most of the car rental vehicles that you will know that they are easily accessible. Easily accessible because they target where people are in terms of traveling. What is the most common place you will expect to find a car rental company?
Airport.
Airport. So that is something that they will need to invest in, that they will need to secure those kind of rentals. So that is what you need to to think about when they introduce the business. Just have that mind, and you're gonna see why it is gonna be important later on. Because these capitals, we have to evaluate the decisions that the company makes on them. So when we look at them, we then have to stop and say, but when you are thinking about this, what will it do to this capital? What will it do to that capital? What will it do? And that's how you will then be able to really demonstrate that critical thinking, problem solving, integrative thinking, as well as demonstrating good business judgment. And you are then able to see the things that are negatively or positively affecting the entity's environment, whether it's internal or external. So if you think that a proposal threatens to decrease the value in this capital, then you need to tell me about it. If you expect the proposal to increase value in one of these capital, it should be your point. But do you see that it is not just how you're thinking about it? It could be that these points you already have, but now I'm saying you have a way to think about it. The impact on the capitals, the problems that are going to arise will be related to these capitals. So that means the solution, the critical thinking you apply will be related to these capitals. Now, we are talking about what? We are talking about human capital, because you go rent there. And so, yes, human capital, it could be about the staff, whether they're friendly enough. But if you think about it, that sometimes this is somewhat, what is it? Not a significant issue. Yes, you still want your employees to be courteous, but most of the time, from a corporate perspective, we've got a travel agent that we book with, and then the travel agent sorts everything out. When we go, the most we have to speak to a service consultant is to say, hi, here's my license, and then here are the keys, go and inspect, that's it. So those are not like in a service like audit, that these are the people you're going to be dealing with on a regular basis. They need to have competence. They need to understand so many things. There, people are there, but they are not significant as you think. In some cases, it could be that, yeah, as I'm saying, you hardly say much more than greetings. So there is no that exchange that then is lengthy and affects the quality of the services that they provide. Yes, maybe you can find a bad one, and yes, you can find a very good one, but most of the time, it's not necessarily the thing that will take you back and say, that's why I love Avis. You might be pissed about the person, but if the car is fine, you'll probably, by the time you drive out from the airport, have forgotten about it. So that's where now, yes, there's human, but it does not necessarily mean it's a significant capital to this particular business. So for me, I then said, so not too much. Intellectual, so I was saying earlier that, yeah, in most of these cases, the technology they adopt is any technology that anyone can adopt. It's not technology that can give competitive advantage. Like, for instance, most of these car rental service, they'll tell you you can hire GPS, you can do it, you can hire a more classy vehicle, and so on and so on. But in their nature, that's not something that they are able to protect as part of their intellectual capital. It's just any other service provider just buys a vehicle, buys a navigator and puts in the vehicle just like that. So here, I could not immediately see any capital related to the intellectual and human. So that is my initial view. Maybe my initial view later on will change, but for now, I'm taking this. So now we've got these capitals at the back of our mind. We are busy thinking about that. We are busy thinking and we are looking to see how then the external or internal environment will be impacting this to either create, destroy, or transform those capitals. I see a question to say, what about the website? Easy platform to hire from them. Yeah, in some cases that could be that. That could be that an easy platform to hire. But as I'm saying, that it could be a good one. But then the question is, does it become a situation where now it limits or undermines a significant part of value creation? Because yes, as a business, you might not be able to get everything right, but you want to get those right, those things that matter to your customers. And maybe I'm just talking about my experience here, that, for instance, when I want to hire a vehicle, I either use booking.com, I use Investec Travel, I use Discovery Travel, but I've used Avis, but I have never booked with them directly. So whether their platform works or not, for me, is something that I don't consider to be significant, because at a push of a button, take my phone and I'm able to book a vehicle right there and there. So that's where I'm coming from. But maybe from your experience, you could be saying that, yes, I have been in this situation and been frustrated enough and considered otherwise because of the quality of the website or the app. But as I'm saying, that some of these middlemen, they don't charge extra. Even better, they give you discounts. Like if you got Discovery, Vitality, you get discounts through booking through them rather than booking directly through them. So that's where I'm coming from. But just basing it on my experience, it could be different. And therefore, you might be saying that there's no way that for you, this is not a significant one. So that's why I'm happy to leave it open right there. Okay. Then let's explore further. Lenester's policy is to use new car rental for a maximum of what? Of 2 years. These cars are then replaced with new cars. The replacements are made in terms of a 10-year contract with the suppliers of new vehicles, which was signed 5 years ago by the company's directors. Cars that are 2 years old, based on the end of the month of first registration in the name of Lanester, are sold through the company's used car sales division. So let's just understand what this means. So now they've told us something crucial about the business activities. So they introduced the model earlier. Now they're introducing the business activity. So one, we but we have a 10-year contract with suppliers of what? With suppliers of new car vehicles. So now, what does that mean? Do you see a problem with this? Do you see a problem with this? 10-year contracts with suppliers of new vehicles. So now the question is, what are the positives and negatives about this? Let's talk. And think about your capitals now. Because now you have painted for yourself in your mind the capitals. Do you see anything good or bad about this? So we are stuck in a long-term contract, but why is being stuck a problem? Why is being stuck a problem? It's like telling a married person that you are married to one person. And then they're like, but should I be worried? So let's hear. What is your thoughts? Yes.
I would say,
Sure.
if you want to go get out of your contract, there might be a clause that says, okay, you're gonna have to incur penalties or so. If you want to move to suppliers who are giving you better deals, yeah.
Okay. So limited flexibility if you want to consider alternatives for better deals, as you're saying. The problem here is you're locked in, so that flexibility is quite restricted. Fair enough. So I see. And I think, which capital does it threaten, this limited flexibility to you? Which capital does it threaten and therefore undermines the value creation for the company?
Financial.
Financial, because you are saying I might struggle to get a better deal elsewhere, even when I know that there's a better deal. All right, great. Anything else? So you saw a negative. Anyone? Any other negative? Any other positive?
The positive side is that you have a supplier, like you are certain that you will get.
Sorry?
I mean, the positive side is there is is fixed. Is certain. The certainty of you getting supply is there because there is a contract.
All right. So you're saying that there is certainty with regards to the supply of new vehicles. Okay. And this is a good thing towards enhancing which capital for you? What capital will be affected by this positive aspect? Okay, manufactured.
I think financial and manufactured, yeah.
Okay, sure. Because at this point in itself, I think financial might be difficult to see, but from a manufactured, I think it's a much clearer one, because now you're saying, I want certainty that I'll always get these new vehicles. All right, sure. Any other positive or negative? Any other positive or negative?
Hi, Rendani.
Hi.
I will say that in terms of the reputation of the supplier, and then it affecting the social capital structure.
So what reputation are you thinking about? Just paint this for me. what could happen with one of our suppliers in your mind?
Let's say maybe the supplier has a reputation of maybe delivering, but sometimes they deliver, sometimes they don't deliver.
Okay,
And
so, but so to you, then is it a matter of how is then our social or brand getting affected?
Yeah, with
Because
associating with them.
Because where I'm coming from is, remember that our business model is that we rent cars. And we rent this out. So we've got this agreement. Let's say I'm your supplier, and I supply you with these vehicles. My supplier, maybe in this case, this would be your dealers or distributors, given the size of this particular company. So now I am the one that supplies you with vehicles every 2 years. And you are saying that, so let's say I'm delayed, say by even a month. Where I'm trying to come to is to say that, but then my delay, does it then negatively impact your customer? And if so, how so? Because where I'm coming from is that you are a rental company. And as a rental company or a short-term rental company, the idea is that you don't probably necessarily, what's the word? Have like a commitment, or maybe I'm just talking out of 10 here, to say a commitment to a customer. So a customer is not like expecting that next month you'll have a GTI, the new one, that in December you'll have a new, say, Mercedes. So that's where I'm coming from, that reliability of a supplier, it might not necessarily affect my reputation with the final customer unless maybe I've made some arrangements, which I think because of how these car rental companies work, it might be a little bit difficult to see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We already have a working relationship with the supplier. All right, sure, we have it, but good or bad, what does that mean? I want you to paint that for me. Then long-term relation with the supplier, and to approve the contract, the supplier should be reliable, therefore affecting our social. But how? So maybe what I'm trying to get to is to see the value creation, see this in the value creation process, see the negative or the positive impact on the capital, or rather how that capital will be transformed by this aspect you're talking about.
Can we say that the reason why I'm stating that it's a working relationship is because the contract is already been gone for 5 years. So if it wasn't working, things would have gone sour a lot faster or earlier in terms of the 10-year contract. So because we're already halfway done, we already have a working relationship with the supplier.
I hear you, but my question is that might be a fact, but is it a value creation aspect? Does it make my value much bigger than in what it was before?
No.
So, and that's what I want you to see it as, because these are strategic matters. These are the things that we need to say, board, we are worried about this agreement, or we love this agreement because of this. Then the board needs to say, yes, we can see that this can contribute to having a good share price because this is value being translated to the different stakeholders. So that's how I want you to see it. So a good relationship, right? Relationship with the supplier, it means if there is a problem, then we are what? Likely to be open to negotiation. That's what you want. That's when you say that you now have a good social relationship capital. Because a good relationship capital or social capital, what it does, it allows you to allow people to even amend contracts to help you out. That's when you know that, yeah, here I've got a good relationship. Because if you don't have a good relationship, when someone then tries to negotiate, you're like, I'd rather finish this contract, but I'm not open to negotiate. And you'll realize that people that are open to negotiating are actually what? Are actually the ones that you have a good relationship with. So that's why a good relationship capital is something that is what? That is well desirable. So that's where we are coming from. Right? Does that make sense? All right, great. Okay. Then you agree on price upfront and assist with budgeting. But that will be a separate term. So we don't know whether the term provides for that. So the terms, and we don't know whether it is a pricing contract or it is a supply contract. So what do I mean? I mean that there are contracts that say that we commit to supply you with 100 vehicles each and every year. So that's a supply contract. You will pay the market price, but at least you are secured of the what? Of the supply. And there are some that says that, yeah, when it comes out, we will give you a 20% discount. So that has also given you some financial capital. But here we don't have terms of how those terms look like. So it is very difficult to then conclude whether the price has been agreed upfront or you are just assured that you will have new vehicles as and when you need them in the terms of what? Your policy. Okay, so that's what we are saying. So to say that, okay, we've got a policy of this. So one of the things that we could also raise is it could be a matter of limited flexibility as well. But now, oh yes, let me put it here because we have it. So the point that was raised is in terms of considering alternatives. But another dimension to this point could be the fact that you might be required to purchase, even if not required. Because that's the limited flexibility, because you've signed an agreement to buy every 2 years. But do you consider that you might get to a point where you don't need these vehicles for one reason or the other, and you have to what? You still have to buy because you've committed to a contract to buy every 2 years. Do you see that? So we are worried about such to say that this agreement that we have will not force us to buy even if we don't, because we buy in terms of it. All right, so these are some of the things that we could raise. Yes, there could be a little bit more, but let's keep it here and let's push. Then they say that after 2 years, they are sold through the used car sales division. So this is a process. This is how the business has been structured. So we realize that this division right here, it is what? This division right here, it is dependent. It is dependent on what? On the vehicles coming from the rental division. So that's what we are getting. Then it means that any decision made by the rental division can negatively or positively affect this particular decision. And the impact or the performance of the used car division can affect the overall company. And maybe let's unpack that. So number one, the success of Lannister is affected by what? Is affected by the used car sales division. How so? If unable to sell, therefore, the rental division will be unable to what? To offload the vehicles. Do you see that? What could be the implication? Implication could be financial, in that capital will be locked into inventory and additional storage might be required. All right, then the success of Lannister is also affected by what? By the rental division. Based on the quality of the vehicles brought into the used car sales division. Why? If run down, will be difficult to sell, and therefore affecting the financial capital as we discussed above. Do you see the interdependence on these two divisions? Does that make sense? That this company needs these two divisions to work. Okay. However, let's us now see. However, it is taking longer and longer to sell used cars due to a drop in demand for used cars. Due to a drop in demand for used cars. And there's also been a decrease in demand for rental cars. So this is like a double-edged sword. Lannister regards rental cars have been rented out for less than 5 days in a month as idle rental cars. Now, let's talk about this. Now, critical thinking has to come in. In South African context, or wherever you are, did this immediately stack up when you were reading it? So they've not given you reasons, but your critical thinking needs to have stopped you to say, is this true though? When will it be true? Remember those questions we asked ourselves when we were doing that critical thinking coverage, to say that we ask about what we probe the assumptions, we probe the rationale or the consequence. So now when we got to this point, you told me, or you are telling me it is taking longer and longer to sell used cars. All right? Why? Is it quality issues? Is it maybe the ability of the sales team to close sales? Is it competitive issues? So do you see what I'm doing? So now I'm bringing my business acumen here because I need to understand the rationale for this. And I am thinking about external and internal considerations. So that's where I am now. So what could be the external? It could be because of competitors. It could be because of my sales efforts internally. It could be because of the quality of the vehicles. Maybe they are run down after 2 years. Or it could be a matter of what? A matter of the choice of the vehicles. Because we are here and people want SUVs, but the vehicles that you have and now you are selling as used cars, it's not the ones that people want. So it could be what? Vehicle mix. And here it could be customer preferences. So these are some of the things that are coming to mind, right? And they then said that due to a drop in demand, do you see that the drop for this drop in demand, they have not clarified it for me. But in your mind, when you saw this statement, did you believe it? What, and if so, what did you think made you believe it? Yes, I see the point here. So yeah, can you talk to me about that? Did you believe? Did you believe when they said a drop in demand, and what made you believe? That's my question. What did you think it was? Or what was your question regarding this? Anyone? Did you believe? If you believed that that was the case, then you're welcome to say it. Did you believe? Am I still audible? What happened to everyone?
Yeah, for me, I'm trying to look ahead of this place. So there was a reason for that. So because of that, then I will believe, because they said the next paragraph, they said the reason for that.
But, and what I'm saying, but remember that what we are trying to build here is your ability to be critical readers. That you always have to be questioning things. You have to remember, one of the areas of decision making is to be to access professional skepticism. So now they are telling you there's a drop in demand. Do you believe? And if you believe, what do you think, based so far, what caused it? And it could be that you didn't have reasons at this point. You were waiting for the examiners to clarify this later on. That's fair. But what I want you to do right is to always ask the right questions before they give you the answer. Because if they don't give you the answer, you can ask the question back to the examiner, and that could be you demonstrating problem-solving techniques there and walking away with that competency. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right, sure. Everyone, does that make sense? Because I want you to be there. And as I'm saying, it's just a shift in the mindset that the way you read scenario has to be much richer now. It has to be richer so that you don't get to read the same scenario over and over again, and you find that you are losing significant time during that process. So, all right, then let us keep it here, because your business acumen has then been triggered, and there's been a decrease in the demand for rental vehicles. So we are still surprised about why. One of the factors, now we are saying that examiners are giving us the reason. But remember that whatever they say, it has to stack up. Management in practice keep telling stories. And in some cases, the story could be a weak story, or it could be a very convincing story. One of the factors that is causing strain on the car rental industry is that international tourism to South Africa decreased by about 10% in 2024. Last year, by about 6%. International tourism. So I hear you. I hear you. So now, what critical thinking will demand that you analyze the statement to check the veracity thereof. So for the Lannister to struggle because of a drop in demand, we are being told it is because of a decline in international tourism. Then critical thinking comes in. This is assuming that there is a relationship between international tourism and the demand for used cars, also for rental cars. Is that true? Or for it to be true, what needs to be true? Yes.
I'm just wondering,
Yes.
how does the international tourism now come into play when it comes to the drop in the demand for used cars? Because now in this demand, we're talking about sales and not rentals. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or
mhm.
okay, no, it's okay.
Yeah. And you're asking the right questions. Because these are what critical thinking says. It now challenges you not to just believe whatever you have been told. Because yes, so now they told you about two things here. The demand for used cars is dropping, and the demand for rental cars is dropping. Then they told us about what? Car rental industry suffering. So rental, due to international tourism declining. So now we are saying that, but is that true enough? Is this like black and white kind of? That's what we are questioning, that we question the links between the two. Yes, I see a hand.
Rindani, for me, it
Hmm.
feels like it's an adverse effect. And what of saying that is because
Hmm.
earlier when we said, okay, the policy is for 2 years. So
Mhm.
when we saying that there's a decrease in the car rental industry, it means that there's less people who are going to be using the cars for rent. So when
Mhm.
it goes through to the used car division,
Mhm.
uh, I myself would be like, okay, this car for 2 years has been less used, therefore it should be getting sold. Like the demand for it getting sold should be higher and
Hmm.
not lower,
Mhm. Mhm. So,
because
so
you are getting more value for your vehicle now because you know it's been less used.
hmm. Okay. So what are you saying about this statement?
So I'm saying I don't agree with it. It's like a complete opposite, because if we're saying a
Hmm.
decrease in international tourism and a decrease in demand for used cars, they both going the same way. It's supposed to be the opposite, one positive and one negative. So maybe a drop in the demand for used cars is because of external factors uh, and not just internal.
Okay. Interesting. So that's critical thinking at play there. So this is what we need. This is what we want to see in you. So yes, you could say that when I read this, I didn't even bother to question it. But now I'm sitting and I'm like, no, 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 no. But how are these things making sense? I hear you, but does this complete the picture? It feels like there's something more you are not telling me. Tricks, yes.
Oh, I was actually like thinking of the 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 relationship between the drop in the demand for the rental cars
Yeah.
and the international tourism.
Yes.
Given that we are speaking of 2023 and 2024,
Yeah.
it might be the after
Mhm.
effects of COVID-19,
Mhm.
because that like our international trade was actually like stopped at some point, and
Mhm.
then the effect on the financial side of people in general around the world, they can't really travel. They had to like now focus on what was important to now like what do you call it, recover from
Mhm.
their losses and everything that happened during COVID. Because I mean 2023, 2024, we still have that impact now. I don't know.
Okay, but so what are you saying? So you are saying for you, are you, because it's only like at a different point than where we are, which is also a question, a point to question. So you are saying that you believe that there was a decline of international tourism, and you believe that it is still because people have not fully recovered from COVID-19 financial or economic effect. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Sure. Does anyone have a different perspective? Okay. Tricks, is that in your hand? Oh, the old one.
I don't have a hand yet, but I'm also having another thought here.
Oh, it's
Um,
not you. Oh, it's Louis. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, but finish. Sorry.
okay,
I realized.
so
Yeah.
I'm thinking, given that like we have the new incentives that the government has imposed to hire like the young people, I think it's ETIs and the likes. Uh, we could also like maybe relate them to saying that the youth, they don't really want these old cars. They want to buy the that. Okay, I'm way out of this part of international tourism, but I was thinking the drop in the demand for used cars, because now we're speaking of sales rather than rentals, it could be due to given that the current like more employed people are youth, those people, us, we just don't want the second-hand cars.
Okay. But should they not want them? Why do they want them? It sounds like a good deal, but yes, Louis.
Okay, for me, I was thinking that the drop in demand for rental cars, it might be related to the drop in international tourism, because maybe most of our clients are tourists, but we have to assess in relation to Lannister. If our client base is mostly made up of international tourists or of local tourists who hire our rental cars.
So very good question. So you are saying that before I believe you, I need more information about the mix of Lannister's customers. Because
yes,
yeah, it's like now I come and they say, sure, it has been a terrible year. Because we got less international tourism. Then you will say, but wait, what are they doing in your organization? So I need to show you the link between them declining and the effect on my business. And the question you are therefore asking is what we are talking about when we talk about question type number 5 on critical thinking. Does this mix, does the mix of Lannister's customers include a significant component of what? Of international tourists? Because if you answer yes, I believe. But if you tell me that, no, it's about 20%, most of the work, it's what? Most of them, it's, what do you call it? It's the guys from local. Then I'll be surprised to say, so why would you say that the demand is decreasing and you're attributing it to them? Maybe let's read further. Yeah, we'll take a break now and edit. Partly because of stricter visa regulations imposed by South African government on people traveling with what? With minors. Again, that's another assumption that these people that you are saving were they mostly families. Yes, let's say we believe, but were they mostly families? Okay, so consider the profile of international tourists. Okay, in addition, there's been also a decrease in local tourism over the past number of years. So there's been a decrease in tourism. So now you are saying this is in decrease. So then I see that, so both what? Both types of customer profiles are what? Under strain. But it is not clear why the local tourism is what? Is under pressure. Hey, because we are taking stock. It is estimated that Lannister's average lost revenue due to idle cars for the first half of 2025. Remember that the year ends in what? The year ends in 30 June. So 2025 is 30 June 2025 year end. So the first half, so in this case, it was not what? Immediately there. Lannister's revenue declined by, so we see the impact. So the impact of lower demand for used cars and rental cars is clear on the financial. Hey, but it feels I've got more questions than answers so far. Louis, your hand is still up. Is that the same end, or you want to add something else?
Okay, I wanted to add something. I just wanted to ask, this Lannister company is only talking about tourists as their customers. Don't they have other customers, like maybe companies who rent their cars or other individuals who are not tourists, because they are only talking about tourism as their customers?
Like who? For example?
For example, companies might hire their cars on.
Yeah. So do you see now what is expected of you? That in this scenario, before you get to the required, what we are doing here is applying pervasive skills. You have not applied anything you've learned in your CTA years. So do you see the power of pervasive skills? That so far, we are generating points that are making us pass the question without even understanding what the question is. Because we are asking, we are probing the information given. You don't need, therefore, to be saying that I have not studied MENEC, I have not studied accounting. So when it comes to pervasive, as I'm saying, it's all about these things. And just to go back, to put into context what we were speaking about, and what we speak about when we talk about what's the word? When we talk about critical thinking, it is this to say that we are probing the implication and the consequences. What are the consequences of this assumption? So if we assume, or really assumption that you only cater to tourism, then yes, we believe you. But now we are asking what? We are asking even the question about the question that, do you really cater for this particular customer? Because you want to find a solution to your problem. But before we get to the solution, we want to first understand the problem. We want to first understand the problem. So discovering alternative viewpoints and perspective and conflicts between contentions. So now we are saying that, is it reasonable though that this company only caters for tourism customers? Is it practical? Is it the case? Because they're a listed company. So you are telling me, as a listed company that specializes in rental, you don't have, say, government contracts. This for me, yeah, it does not click. That's what my critical thinking is telling me. That's what pervasive skills are all about. Challenge the status quo. Do not probe the rationale, the reasons, the evidence. Why is this happening? Why are they struggling? Challenging their assumptions. You're assuming that the reason you've got a problem with a decline in demand is because of a lower international travel and lower tourism demand. But is that the case though? How can you verify or disprove that assumption? Why are you saying this? So this is what we are applying. And this is what, by the time, so what we just need to do now is to communicate to get the pervasive skills marks. Because we are saying that we are there. Now we just need to do what? We just need to communicate, and the examiner will say, now your critical thinking is on point. Your business acumen is on point to just question what? To question that, does this not have other customers? That's business acumen there, because you are now demonstrating your understanding of the external environment, that they cannot just be, for a listed company, what? Tourist customers. If it is, then that's fine. But I'm saying my business acumen is making me to question it. I will wait for an answer, but because it's a written assessment, we are not going to get the answer. And as Trix said earlier, do you see now, they told us, so let's talk about the problem. So what is the problem that they've painted to us? So let's frame the problem. What is the problem? Because problem solving skills needs to make sure that we are solving the right problems. What is the problem? So yes, Lannister is considering this, but to solve what problem? So let's ask that. To solve which problem? So what do you think are the problems here? One, So let's just frame the problem, because framing the problem will make it clear that the solution at hand is appropriate. What is the problem to you? What is the problem?
Loss of customers.
So, loss of customers. All right. So loss of customers, that has led to what? Maybe let's clarify. That led to
loss of revenue.
Okay. How so? Let's be detailed.
Because of the decrease in customers, they mentioned that the cars became idle.
Okay.
So hence they lost on revenue.
So idle vehicles. So the impact, we're saying what? Is the loss of revenue. All right. Anything else? Anything else?
Stricter visa requirements. That's why there's less tourism, maybe.
So, but we are still at a question of whether this is and maybe let me just clarify myself, because here it's very important to frame the problem correctly. So the problem has to be clear, and it has to be separate from the cause, because you need to interrogate the causes of the problem. But what we just need to capture, it's what are we worried about now? That's what we need to capture. What is our problem? And we then ask, where does the problem come from? How can the problem be solved, or how are we solving the problem? Does that make sense? Because problem solving requires this kind of critical unpacking of the issue. So like point number one, if you are to talk to the board and you are just to be as succinct as possible, you will say that the board, we've got a problem of idle vehicles. Then the board will say, why? Then you start unpacking, all right? what are we doing about it? You then start unpacking. Did you understand that the debate ensues? But to say that we've got loss of customers, loss of revenue, one is still wondering how, like, why do you say that? Why do you say, what is this? Because we have business activity. So where's the broken thing to solve? All right, sure. Louis?
Okay, for me, I think that the problem is low inventory turnover in terms of the used cars.
Low inventory turnover. Great. Sure.
Rendani,
Yeah.
is it also not a lack of proper management of working capital? The working capital obviously being the rental costs that they're using and some of the ones that they're selling.
Yeah, so I think for me, where I'll want you to simplify and be more communicate in a much more easier way is to define which aspect of working capital. Because if you say working capital, so it sounds like one is hiding behind the technical terminology. Because I need, as a marker, figure out, wait, are you talking about cash? Are you talking about inventory? And do you realize that the inventory here is the vehicle? Are you talking about debtors? But which debtors are you talking about? So you then put the work on me as the marker. And as the marker, I don't want to work like that.
Okay.
So don't make me work like that as a marker. Simplify my life so that I simplify your life by giving you the marks.
Okay.
Yes.
Rendani, that helps a lot.
Sure. So it's all about that. And that's why I was saying that sometimes you need to think when you are communicating, as if you're communicating to engineers and doctors, lawyers, the guys that will want to understand the issues, but the technical, they might not be there with you. If you tell someone that I've got a problem with working capital, they might just keep quiet because they're waiting to say, well, what is this person talking about? Yes, at the end, they might understand you. But if you then tell them that we are not selling enough cars, we are not turning them as quickly enough, I see the problem. We are having an issue with idle vehicles. No one is driving them because idle vehicles means that what? For 5 days, no one has hired them out. I am clear about that. So that's what I want you to try to achieve on that relational acumen, the simplicity of your communication, but without losing the meaning thereof. Right? Cool. So we've got this. So here, the impact as well, it is the negative impact on what? On cash flows. That low 10. So that's why working capital is there. But now I'm saying that if I'm not selling vehicles long enough or quickly enough, I've got cash not coming in as quickly enough. That's the problem I've got. So do you see that we have framed the problem now? We have framed the problem. So now it means that when management presents a solution to us, we are able to challenge that, no, but this solution, how will it deal with this? And for us to be able to challenge the solution, we need to understand the cause or the root cause of the problems. And so let's take a break, then we will come back and just unpack it even more, because we want to understand this concept